You want me to turn sound on and camera? All right.
Hold on, I have to.
Wow, we have some big breaking news. We have James Harden has been traded. Not surprising that he was traded, but what happened is pretty incredible. We've got James Harden going to the Brooklyn Nets. According to Woj, I won't even bother to say his last name. Adrian Woj. Let's see, what is his actual?
Adrian Wojciechowski is his name. It's Polish. He's the lead contributor for ESPN when it comes to the NBA. He's one of the best. I love Adrian. I always follow him. He's unbelievable. James Harden. Let's just tell what happened last night for people that don't know. Last night, James Harden, they lost to the Lakers by 17 points. Got destroyed by the world champs. He was mad. He was upset. He wasn't happy about coming back this season anyway. He didn't show up to training camp on time. He was in Vegas with strippers and doing who knows what else he was doing over there in Vegas, gambling and having a great time. He didn't even show up to training camp. He showed up. He was 20 pounds overweight. And he didn't care about the season. He scored maybe 30 points the first 3 games. After that, he averaged 17 points a game. My friend, Dr. Dan Ratner, has him in fantasy basketball. And how upset are you about him? Go.
I had been. I definitely was feeling some buyer's remorse.
Okay, that's great.
And you had
that
told
being
me.
said, that all being said, the buyer's remorse, I understand, and I don't blame you for being upset. He's one of the best players in fantasy basketball. He didn't care about playing. So last night at the press conference, he blamed all his teammates. He blamed Wall. He blamed Cousins. He blamed PJ Tucker. He blamed all his teammates. You don't play the blame game in that kind of stuff. You'd never do that. So that all being said, he was traded today. And Dan, why don't you tell us what he was traded for? It's a very complicated deal with Cleveland, and even Milwaukee got involved in it. But Dr. Dan Ratner has the details.
I'm gonna read what Adrian Wojnarowski says. So Harden goes to Brooklyn, of course. Now, Karis LeVert, Dante Exum, and Rodions Kurics go with 4 first-round picks. I believe that's all going to Houston. And that's all going to Houston, right? Except Karis LeVert has now been dealt to the Indiana Pacers, and Victor Oladipo is going to the Rockets. Right. That is my understanding. I'm still not... Oh, and actually the Cavs get Jared Allen, which is big if you're a Cavs fan, and Taurean Prince. Now, what I'm not as clear on is what did Milwaukee get out of this? Because the Cavs 2022 first is one of the first round picks that the Rockets are receiving. I don't know what the Bucks get for that. Now, it also could be that trade was from the Cavs to the Bucks to the Nets and then to the Rockets. I don't know. It's getting passed around. So we're not sure what that is, but we do know.
That all being said, the Nets starting lineup is as follows. If Kyrie Irving comes back, he's on sabbatical. Who knows where that guy is? He hasn't been hurt in a week. They don't even know why he's not showing up to practice or even games. He's even showed up to like the whole week. So they have Irving, James Harden at guards. That's not bad. Irving and James Harden at guards is unbelievable. That's kind of like that. That's like a dream team already. Joe Harris at forward. They have Kevin Durant, who's probably the best scorer in the league. Him and James back to back, whatever, and then Jeff Green. So that's their starting 5. That's a great starting 5. I mean, that I picked the Nets to win it, the whole thing. If they keep that starting 5 and Irving comes back, they have a great chance to win the championship here. I love that team.
You actually made the call in our picks. You made the call that the Nets would win the East and win it all, actually, is what you said, even before they got James Harden. And this is really interesting, too. I love the storyline that James Harden is paired up again with Kevin Durant. Everyone thought, how could the Thunder have let James Harden go? And we were thinking about what it would have been like to have them all together. Well, now we've got, Harden and Durant are back together, and they've got Kyrie Irving. That is as good of a talent of a threesome as you can have. The question to me is, how are they going to come together from a mental standpoint?
And they have a coach. His name's Steve Nash. Steve Nash is league MVP, first-year coach. He's Canadian, which we don't hold that against him, of course. But he's a guy that's a basketball guy. He loves talking to players. Players respect him. So I think he has a great advantage over any other coach. I mean, again, league MVP. He's in the Basketball Hall of Fame. He's one of the best coach. He's one of the best players at point guard to ever play. So first year coach, I think the players will respect him. I think it's a great situation for James Harden.
I think it's definitely, I mean, it's a much better situation for Harden anyway. I mean, once he made those statements with the Rockets, you're gone at that point. That's called crossing the Rubicon. For those of you who are ancient Roman history fans, you cannot come back from that.
Yes, you cannot come back. And I think for fantasy perspective, John Wall's stock has gone up now in Houston. I think he's going to be the main guy now in Houston, and somebody has to score the points. So I think John Wall is a guy you got to watch out for. I like him a lot, and I think PJ Tucker's going to step it up, and I think Gordon's going to step it up. I think Houston's team. If you're into fantasy like we are, you should look at the Houston roster and see who's not taken in the waiver wire, and pick somebody up that's going to get more playing time. Because with Harden gone, there's going to be a lot more minutes for a lot more players.
Yeah, and you could trade for Christian Wood, but a smart player is going to know his value's gone way up. So I like Ross's strategy of Eric Gordon's. He could still be sitting out there. These are good players to have. Scoop them up. Also, Daniel House, he's injured. He's going to have a bigger role coming in. Scoop him up now. You can stick him in your injured slot. It's a great pickup. It's so fun when these trades change the landscape of the league so much in multiple ways. I mean, you could say that Houston's starting lineup, in some way, you could say that Houston's starting lineup is basically draft pick number 1, draft pick number 2, because they're not going to field a competitive team from an NBA standpoint, but from a fantasy standpoint, these players are still going to have a lot of value. I'm just checking to see if we have a question. It sounded like we did. Hold on a second.
And Dan, another thing is DeAndre Jordan, his stock has gone up now. I mean, with Allen gone, and he was playing center for a lot of minutes, and Durant's not a pure center. I know, he's 7 feet tall. He's not a center. DeAndre Jordan is. Center. So DeAndre Jordan's going to get more minutes now. And all those DeAndre Jordan owners are kind of bummed. He was only playing 15, 17 minutes a game. Those days are over. This guy's going to play 25, 30 minutes a game now. So DeAndre Jordan, if he's available in your league, he could be a good risk pick to pick up and to see what happens, how it turns out. It's not a bad idea.
Absolutely. Now, the question we do have coming in.
Who's it from?
We have a question from Lauren. Karis LeVert also gets a good fantasy bump. Gets a good bump fantasy-wise. There's no such thing as a fantasy bump. I don't know what that is. But he gets a boost fantasy-wise because he's going to an Indiana team. He's going to be more of a central part of things. I think that's definitely true. Karis LeVert was always a really good player in fantasy sports, but now it's even more that way because, my God, he's going to have a lot of playing time. He's also playing on a really good team.
I like Indiana's team. Holiday, they have a very good team. I'm curious. I don't know if he's going to start, though. I don't know what's going to happen. I'm curious to see where they put him in the lineup. I'm not quite sure, but he will get playing time. He comes off the bench. It's no big deal. But Lauren, you're a ninja. We know you're a ninja. We all call you the ninja. You will probably pick up somebody involved in this trade. I can feel it in my bones right now, and I wish you the best.
And they're going to be on Houston. But here's one thing to keep in mind. This is true from a fantasy perspective. It's also true just from an NBA perspective. When players change teams, it's not always seamless. Sometimes they get a big boost, but you bring this many parts together. I saw this with LeBron and Cleveland over and over and over. You'd bring in new players and you'd think, well, now we're set.
Right.
You got to integrate those players,
Right. And
I would not be surprised to see Brooklyn stumble a little bit in the win-loss column for a couple weeks.
They have been
stumbling.
Put
it together.
They have been stumbling all season.
No. What I mean is compared to what you're expecting them to do now.
Oh, I know. But again, with Durant, and if Irving ever comes back, who knows what that guy's doing. I feel COVID really made everybody crazy. I mean, I don't know if you saw what LeBron did last night. He shot a 3 and he turned his head and he bet one of his teammates he made the shot for $100, and they didn't shake on it. They just looked each other in the eyes. The ball went right in, and LeBron won $100 off Dennis Dennis the Menace. So, I mean, with Irving, with Harden, everybody's going crazy. This COVID is driving everybody mad. It's been a crazy season in basketball this year. There's been so many crazy things that happen. I mean, I never heard of a player walking off the team unless it's Dennis Rodman to go somewhere else and not even tell his coach he's leaving for a week. And then he was spotted he has the guts to post a picture of himself at a party without a mask. I mean, who does that kind of stuff? It's
crazy.
COVID crazy. And it's I can't explain this year at all. Everything's turned upside down. I just can't explain it. And the Bills are possibly in the Super Bowl. It's unbelievable.
And the Browns could be. We'll see.
Oh,
we have a question.
Another miracle.
We'll get to that later, but this is all about the breaking news of the James Harden deal. We have a question again.
Oh, good.
This is from Anthony. What are the deal details again? So here's what we have. James Harden dealt from the Rockets to the Brooklyn Nets. This is they say it's a 3-way deal with Cleveland. I don't know how the Bucks get involved because they have one of the Cavs picks. Oh, I understand it now.
4 number 1
No,
picks.
I understand it now. This was the Bucks pick that was dealt to the Cavs. So
right.
The Bucks are not involved here. I'm sorry. I didn't understand that. Okay. So here's the thing. We've got 4 number 1 picks going to Houston, 4. And one of them's, they're banking on it being high because it's the Cavs 2022.
Yeah.
So that's the thing about trading first round picks. You're getting more value when the teams are not good. So the Rockets are getting 4 first round picks. They are getting Victor Oladipo from the Pacers.
Indiana, yep.
Karis LeVert is going to the Pacers. Dante Exum and Rodions Kurucs go to Houston along with Oladipo and those 4 picks. The only other team to get anything in this deal is the Cavs for giving up that pick. They get Jarrett Allen.
And Prince.
That's a big get. And Taurean Prince. How that plays out from the fantasy perspective, Jarrett Allen, I mean, I'll tell you this, the Cavs are going to be a monster rebounding team. They've got Drummond. They got Jarrett Allen. They got Kevin Love when he comes back. They've got Larry Nance Jr. They are monsters on the boards. I really like the Cavs, actually. I'm shocked to say it coming into the season. I wasn't thinking that highly of them, but Bickerstaff has been a great coach, and they've bought in on defense. That team is becoming a borderline playoff team, believe it or not. You can laugh now, but you'll see. Anthony's also asking who benefits from this trade more, Houston or Brooklyn? Ross, I think that this is a perfect trade for both teams. Brooklyn's not looking for the future. They need they need that third star player. Since LeBron formed his super team in Miami, the NBA has just been changed for good. You need at least 2 superstars, and now a lot of times it's 3 to really compete for the championship. They're the odds-on favorites for the East now, if they weren't before, but they certainly are now.
Whoa. I do have some questions. The question is this. Yep. Can Steve Nance run an offense with James Harden in it? Because Harden's offense this year, he dribbles the ball, he makes 2 passes, he gets the ball back and shoots. There's no offense there. I can draw that diagram right now if you wanted me to do. I can do it easily. Durant's going to want the ball, right? Irving's going to want the ball, correct? And Harden shoots 40 times a game. He's one of the biggest ball hogs I've ever seen in basketball history. I'm not making this up. I mean, he shoots way too much. He's not really a team player. He's really not. It's all about him in the offense. And can Steve Nash coach him to be more of a team player? That's the question we got to ask. And that's what you got to ask yourself, Dr. Dan Ratner. Do I keep James Harden on my fantasy team? Is it somebody that I want on my team? I don't know. I don't know what to tell you, but you better start trading because your team's going down and you better start figuring out how you can win, because right now you're not in the playoffs. You better start managing your team. And as soon as you go off here, you better go on there and figure it out right now.
So first of all, right now I am in the playoffs. I will be in the playoffs. I'm currently ranked to be, and I definitely will be there. I'm not worried at all. I've got James Harden. You got Kevin Durant. This deal affects both of us now. We're in it together, Ross. We're going to meet in the finals if we don't meet earlier. So I think we should plan on it. But we have a question from Lauren. Who's the biggest loser in this trade fantasy-wise? I know my answer. My answer is Kyrie Irving. Because even if Kyrie Irving comes back, it's exactly what you said, Ross. He is going to be third to be getting the ball. Kyrie Irving now, the chance of him getting assists has gone way down because Harden is going to hold the ball a lot of the time. and he just dribbles and dribbles and dribbles and dribbles, and then he drives.
Yeah.
Kyrie Irving is now going to be more of a 3-point shooter. He's still a dynamic player. I still think he's certainly going to be top 50. But if you can deal Kyrie Irving, you probably can't deal him very easily now because of the weird thing he's doing. But when he comes back, ship him out as soon as you can.
And I bet, like, you know, when you like date a girl for the first time, you want to lose weight, you want to shave a little bit, you want to get a haircut, you want to look good. I bet James Harden does the same thing. He'll lose some weight. He's overweight. You know, I'm right. And his beard's like down to here. He looks like a Hare Krishna or something. And then his hair is like way too long. He'll get a haircut before he goes to Brooklyn. He'll shave his beard down a little bit. He's going to look sharp. He'll lose 20 pounds in like 2 weeks. You heard it from me first, but it's like being single again. You know what I mean? I think he was content playing at Houston. He didn't care. He wanted to be traded. He did whatever he could. He gained weight. He didn't shave. He said what he had to say to get traded, and it worked. So that all being said, I mean, I just feel we'll see James Harden change a lot in the next 6 weeks.
Now, of course, we know we were all predicting that Harden would get traded. It was pretty well known. I mean, he had asked for a trade going into the season.
He didn't show up to training camp.
Right. I mean, it was definitely not a good look, and you know, I think we all knew he was going to get traded. The question was, where would he get traded to? And what's interesting is if we were looking around the league at who's got all these first round picks, we might have been able to spot this. You know, everybody said it was going to be Philadelphia, but I don't know what their pick situation was like. I don't think it could have been that good, although they did the whole trust.
No,
the process
if it was
thing,
Philadelphia, it would have been Ben Simmons going. They were waving Ben Simmons around like this, and
exactly. They had to have a player to dangle along with picks. That's what the Rockets were looking for. So the Rockets did very, very well for themselves in this situation. You know, they knew Harden was going to be gone. They now have the future of their franchise, you know, is set. As long as they draft pretty well, they can get some major pieces in that. I don't know how high the picks are going to be. In fact, we should look into that. You know, I want to find out where these picks line up. I'm going to take a look now.
You won't know until the season's over.
Well, what I mean is what teams owned them.
I mean,
it's an estimation, right? It's an estimation, but you know, let's see if we search.
It doesn't really matter. But that all being said, I just feel that this trade helped Houston a lot. They're not going to be in the playoffs this year. They probably won't be in the playoffs next year. I feel John Wall's going to be traded by the end of the year. They want to dump a lot of salary. Again, who cares if fans come to the game or not? No one's going anyway. There's no money to be lost. It's not like you're losing money in the stadium because no one's there to watch. It doesn't matter. It just doesn't matter. So that all being said, it's a great year to trade all your stars away because no one's at the stadium anyway.
Also, this is an important part of the deal. These draft picks are not protected. Now, what that means is that's very big, because what that means is, like, let's take the Cavs 2022 pick. And let's say I'm wrong and the Cavs do end up being as bad as they thought they were going to be going into the season. That pick is going to be a very high pick. A protected pick would mean that the Nets would have the option to say, not this year. It's unprotected. They do not have that chance. If those picks end up being the number one pick, whether through the lottery or otherwise, that means Houston gets that pick no matter what this year. It's a really important point when you're making trades for first round picks. If it's a protected pick, it could be protected for 3 years. You could be put off from taking that pick for a long time. Houston wanted to get the picks so that they could make the picks now because they want to bring their team in.
Right. And Houston also, remember, they're 3-6. They're not going, I don't think they're going to make the play now. For sure, they're not going to make the playoffs. I mean, they're not going to be in the top 8 in the West, so they can rebuild. It's not a big rush for them. They can build a team in 2 or 3 years. Christian Wood's under 25. That's a great guy to build your team around. John Wall's a great veteran to have. I feel that the Houston Rockets made a perfect trade for him. And I feel Harden in Brooklyn, I'm kind of skeptical. I'm kind of curious to see how that team plays out with Harden on the team, because like you said, Kyrie Irving, you know, he shoots 20 times a game or 15 times a game. And you got Durant, who's one of the best scorers in the game. I mean, how much? I don't know if you have enough ball to go around. I mean, it'd be interesting if they average like 130 points a game and don't even play defense. Doesn't matter. They can outscore any team in the East easily.
Yeah, I also want to say one other thing about John Wall in Houston. What do you think the chances are that he's going to get shipped out now? I think they go even higher with this. I
Oh
mean,
yeah, I said he'll be traded by the end of the season. He'll be traded to a like a team that's in contention that needs a guy like himself, a veteran, to come off the bench or even to start to play. And I was thinking about this too. Tell me what you think, Dr. Dan. James Harden coming off the bench in Brooklyn, not starting, but 5-6 minutes into the game, he'd bring Harden in as a spark
ooh,
plug.
ooh,
I mean,
oh,
it
I like that
could be
idea, and I like it
genius.
because of what you were just saying. That would be revolutionary because there is only one ball. If you bring even just one of those players, Durant, you can't really. I don't know if you can do it with Harden. But hey, you could bring Kyrie off the bench, but I think Kyrie doesn't work as well on his own. I think if you have Durant and then you've got Harden and you have them not on the court together all that much, you got a dynamic chance to blow people out all the time because
You got
those
Harris too.
players,
You got Joe. You got Harris too on
yeah,
the team. And remember, Dinwiddie went down. He's out for the year, but he was a big part of their offense too. But he's gone for the year. But I feel Brooklyn. It's be interesting to watch them when all three of them are back on the court together.
it's going to be very interesting to see what will happen. And I think Houston's going to be a fun team to watch, especially when they do deal John Wall, because they're probably going to bring another player back. They're not going to be going after a pick now. They're going to go after a young player. Karis LeVert would have been a perfect example of that.
Perfect.
Who knows? Maybe they try to deal John Wall to the Pacers for Karis LeVert and they get Oladipo and LeVert. It totally could happen. I mean, that's the kind of deal they should be doing. And then if they do that, think about it. They'll have two great players to pair with Wood. So they already have three great young players and four draft picks. I mean, I'm telling you, if Houston plays their cards right, to mix my metaphors, they could be a monster in a matter of 2 or 3 years. It doesn't take that long to rebuild in the NBA. If you get superstars, you can go way up. A lot of it depends on what happens with those picks. Again, I don't have the information right now, but if we look into that and we get the information on which teams do those picks come from, that's important. Now, just to put that in perspective, as a Cavs fan, we dealt Kyrie Irving to the Celtics to get the Nets number 1 pick when the Nets were terrible. And we were like, oh boy, we're going to get the number 1 pick. Well, it didn't end up working out that way because of the draft lottery. And I think we didn't even finish in the worst spot. So we ended up getting like the number 6 pick.
Yeah.
And
And
I
and
think we
that
got
player
Darius
now is
Garland.
like cleaning cars for a living. So you guys got totally screwed.
No, I believe that player now is Darius Garland. So he's not
Okay,
cleaning
okay,
cars for a
okay.
living
Just
unless
making
he's
sure.
doing it on the side.
No, no,
Who
no.
knows?
I just made that up. Okay, okay. We
But
got a
but
question,
that's the
Dan.
thing.
We
What
got a question.
we do. I don't see a question. You mean in the chat?
I thought we had a question in the
Not
chat.
seeing
Maybe
any.
I'm wrong. Maybe I'm reading it.
Well, the last question in the chat was who is the biggest loser in this trade fantasy wise?
Okay.
And they weren't talking who's the biggest loser personality wise. And so my answer to that was Kyrie Irving, but actually you didn't answer. Who is the biggest loser in this trade fantasy wise for you?
I mean, I don't feel there's a loser. I just feel teams' needs came in hand here, like you said. Brooklyn wants to win now. Houston just doing the towel. They're not going to win this year. They're done for the year. They're done for next year too. But as soon as these draft picks come in, and as soon as they get maybe like they sign a guy during the offseason, they'll be a team to reckon with. I think it's a good thing they got rid of Harden. Harden's welcome in Houston was done. Fans were tired of him. He was so negative yesterday in the press conference. You can't go up and rip. I mean, really can't rip. You can't really go on national TV and rip your teammates up like that. I mean,
No, actually that's the thing that I was most impressed about with Houston, with what Houston got. They didn't have a ton of leverage because he was done there. But at the same time, and this is what played in their favor, it didn't matter to them if he sat out the whole season. They could have just dangled Harden and they didn't have to rush. And I think NBA teams knew that. And so when the Nets had the chance to grab Harden, they did. We do have one more question coming in. Cleveland now has a bunch of centers. Do you think they'll make a move to trade one of them away? It's a great question.
the McGee, they have Love. They have McGee, Love, and then they got Allen. I mean, they're not really. I mean, McGee has no trade value. Love is hurt 24 hours a day.
And Drummond is is more of a power forward.
Power forward. But I feel Cleveland will keep dealing. When Love comes back,
they definitely will.
I mean, I think Love will come back to Los Angeles. He went to college here. I feel he'll be a Laker or Clipper, I think, by the end of the year. That's Ross the Boss talking. But I feel Cleveland's going to do some more deals and some more trades. They love to pull the trigger in Cleveland.
I think that's a great call about Kevin Love going to LA. I just feel that happening. And I could see LeBron welcoming him. Now he can be a role player. He can be more comfortable in the setup that he's in. But the Cavs, if you're looking for who are they going to trade away, it's all about contracts. NBA teams in these situations, like Kevin Love has a big contract, they want to get that off the books. So I would say Love is the most likely guy to get traded. So again, we're just going to sum up the breaking news and then we're going to wrap up here. But I'm going to say this trade again. It's a 4-team deal. Let me pull it up in the right place. 4-team deal. We've got the Rockets are getting 4 first-round picks. One of them is through the Cavs. James Harden goes to Brooklyn. Victor Oladipo goes to Houston, along with, wait, why did I lose it? Who are the other 2 players?
We got Prince. We got Allen going. Prince and Allen are
Prince
going.
and Allen go to Cleveland.
Yeah, Prince and Allen go to Cleveland. We got 4 number 1 picks.
Here we go.
We also got Exum, who I like a lot. He's
Exum and Rodions Kurich, so the other players.
And he was drafted by Utah a few years ago. And Exum, I like Exum a lot. He got hurt a couple years ago, but he's a great little shooting guard.
Yeah,
watch out for him.
So I mean, to me, every team got better. The only question to me is Oladipo or LeVert better? And so the Pacers, it's unclear, I think, what they got in the deal. Obviously, they like LeVert more than Oladipo at this point. But the Cavs get Jared Allen. That's big. That first-round pick that the Cavs sent was via the Bucks, so it wasn't likely to be a great first-round pick.
The biggest question, Dr. Dan, the biggest question I have is how many games do we actually see Kyrie Irving, Durant, and Harden play? Kyrie Irving has only played in 22 games in a year and a half for Brooklyn because he's injured. Now he's not even playing because he walked personal reasons. So who knows how many games Kyrie Irving's even going to play with these 2 other players? I mean, I would love to see them play.
You know what, though?
Who knows?
But with respect to the Nets, and we'll
140 million.
Yeah. With respect to the Nets, it's really about how many playoff games they play together. If they don't get to play together that much in the regular season and they get into playoffs at any seed, then they can turn it on and win the whole thing. So the Nets made big gains. Houston makes huge gains towards rebuilding the future. The Cavs make some nice moves, and we'll see what happens with the Pacers. Breaking news, James Harden on the move. We knew it was going to happen. Now we know he's going to Brooklyn. Now, James, I lived in Brooklyn for 15 years, so if you need some tips, you reach out to me. Thanks for watching, guys. Click subscribe, ring the bell for notifications, and put your comments below.